So, Jim Montgomery,
Yeah.
you called this, man.
Yeah, I was pretty confident that Jim Montgomery was going to be the coach in Boston.
He kind of came out of nowhere, though, like in the running. It was
Because
weird.
it felt like he wasn't really in a lot of runnings for this offseason. It kind of felt like this is a guy who's maybe going to get a chance at another job next year.
Different assistant job, maybe.
Well, I didn't think different assistant. I thought like you get a head coaching job next year.
Well, what I'm saying is like if the Blues weren't going to keep him, then maybe he could be an assistant somewhere else and then go for a head coaching job.
Well, I thought that they were going to keep him.
He could have. He did a good job.
Yeah. So, and Montgomery's only 53, so he's not super old.
A lot of really younger coaches getting shots recently. Paul Maurice getting a new fresh gig. Luke Richardson, Jim, right? A lot of the younger guys are getting a chance.
Yeah. So Jim Montgomery played from 1993 to 2005 in the National Hockey League before becoming an assistant coach at Notre Dame for a year, and then for 4 years at RPI. Then 3 years, he was the head coach of the Dubuque Fighting Saints in the USHL before moving on to be the head coach of the Denver Pioneers.
Oh.
And, he helped them win the NCHC tournament in 2014. They won the NCHC regular season in 2017, as well as winning the national championship that year. And then they won the conference again next year before he ended up taking the job in Dallas.
Got it. And then he coached.
And his first year in Dallas, he took them to the playoffs, 43-32-7, 93 points. They're fourth in the Central. They ended up losing in the second round to St. Louis. That was Patrick Maroon's first cup run when he scored the overtime goal in Game 7. In 1920, he coached them for 31 games. They were 17-11-3, but
I didn't realize he was that old. That's over 100 years ago.
What did I say?
In 1920. Just the way you said that. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. It's been a weird, checked out last few days.
You're fired. That's what the Stars did to Jim Montgomery, because he had some personal things going on.
This poor guy. I felt so bad when they let him go.
Yeah, I felt terrible for him because it's a situation where, he was doing a good job in Dallas, but
he was doing great, and the team was doing just fine. And yeah. I mean, I applaud him for, going after his personal demons. And
yeah, he took it on the chin, and he said, you know what, this is an issue that I need to fix, and he took the time to himself to do it before returning to the NHL as an assistant. And
was that the year? Was that the same year that Bobby Ryan went through the same thing, or was that was Bobby was the same year? Okay.
I want to say Bobby was the same year. So no, Bobby was just coming off that year.
Bobby was coming back?
Yeah.
Okay. And then, we had another one. We had another couple recently with.
It was interesting because I remember. So I did a hockey.
So okay, let's be
my buddies at Canisius in 2019, and I remember that firing of Jim Montgomery came in lieu of so many other coaches being fired, because that was around the same time that Bill Peters got fired.
Oh my God, you're right.
Like there was a whole bunch of coaches being fired.
Peters and Babs.
Yeah, so all that was coming out, and then Jim Montgomery gets fired, and everybody's like, "Whoa, what's going on here?" And then we find out that he's got a situation going on. So that was a crazy period before COVID that I think people forget about. That a bunch of coaches just got fired,
all for different reasons. Some
over a quarter of the league in that season before COVID even happened got fired from their job mid-season.
Man, and obviously, some are more. It's a Venn diagram, right? You have the Peters and the Babcocks,
Yeah, like it's
where
a
they're
Venn
just
diagram
shitty
of like
people.
maybe personal problems on top of professional in terms of results.
Right. You have the points where it's like they're just shitty people versus okay, they're actually dealing with something.
Yeah.
Right. And there are a few like what Jim went through, and there's obviously we talked about Bobby Ryan. Carey Price just went through it.
Yeah.
This year. There's and what was the one that I mentioned last show? Bob Murray, right?
Yeah, that was
went through the same thing.
That obviously happened later on, but that was a big one. Because that came in the midst of the Blackhawks stuff.
Yeah.
Sometimes you have these things that come out, and then some things it's a little bit of a domino effect where it's not the same degree, but like teams realize what, we can't cover this up no matter how small we may think it is in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
People need to be held accountable. And like, if I can remember, like, and I'm not going to remember every single one off the top of my head, but like that season was crazy because, like I said, before COVID even happened, DeBoer got fired by the Sharks before Gallant got fired. And that's, how DeBoer got there. John Hines got fired in New Jersey.
How many of these guys? Oh my God.
Who was Nashville's coach at the time? Because he got fired and replaced by Hines.
Oh, that was
at the time.
I think it was Laviolette.
I think so. So I think Laviolette got fired. Obviously,
right, because he went to Washington, didn't he?
Jim Montgomery got fired.
Reardon got let go.
Yeah, it was a crazy season where we were like, Jesus, everybody and Babs. So you had at least, like I said,
obviously you have the big fish.
Seattle wasn't in the league at the time, so with 8, I know for sure at least 8. That's over 25% of your coaches in the National Hockey League got fired mid-season.
Oh my God.
That was a crazy season. But to get back to the topic of Jim Montgomery, I like him a lot as a coach. I'm really happy he got back on track.
Yes.
My question is, I like this guy as a coach. I think he's a good coach. But you and I define success differently than the city of Boston will.
Oh, yeah. Like, we're Columbus fans. Of course we do.
Yeah. And I think we're more reasonable in terms of success. But, and when you win so many games,
are you just turning
No, I it's not to turn the knife. They've won so many damn championships between the Patriots, Celtics, Red Sox, and Bruins that like they deserve that. I understand that mentality, but to me, I think Montgomery to Boston will work in the sense that he'll be there for a pretty decent amount of time. He'll win them some games.
It's 3 years, right? His is 3 years.
Yeah, I think it's going to be viewed as a failure in the grand scheme of things because I don't think Boston's good enough to win a Stanley Cup under him. And if he doesn't bring a Stanley Cup, then everybody's going to view it as a failure because he's following in the shadows of Bruce Cassidy. So he's in a really tough spot here.
I do think a part of that too is the kind of team that he's coming into. He's coming into a Boston team where you have your staples in your lineup that are getting much older.
And guys that are hurt. Marchand's not going to be available to start the season.
Right.
McAvoy's not going to be available to start the season. You've got 2 good goalies, I think, in Ullmark and Swayman, one who's really young coming up this season. So you have to try and avoid the sophomore slump there. But Bergeron's coming back, but he's getting older.
He's getting older. Coyle's coming back and he's getting older.
Yeah. And he's just nowhere near worth the money.
We talked about Nick already last show.
Yeah, Nick, we don't know the situation with him. I can't imagine he's back on the Bruins next season. But I mean, who knows? They might bring back David Krejci, but again, David Krejci's
the Krejci thing, yeah.
Years old. So sure, like he might help a little bit in the middle 6, but God, like you can't expect this guy to just be 20.
I don't think I can't see Krejci as their second line center anymore. I know he's talented.
At the end of the day, that still doesn't solve their problem, which we've discussed many times. Is their problem is they don't have a number 2 center.
Right.
Charlie Coyle's not a number 2 center. Eric Hall is not a number 2 center. David Krejci at this point is not a number 2 center. So Your issue is at third line center. Charlie Coyle can be a third line center. Absolutely.
Eric Holla can be a third line center.
Eric Holla can do that. Your problem is you don't have a number 2.
Right. You don't have a bona fide number 2.
You still don't know what the deal is with Pastrnak.
You still kind of up in the air with Jake. Maybe?
Yeah, you're still like I think he's going to stay, and I think he's going to be fine in Boston now. But you don't know for 100% sure.
No, and things are still a little foggy with DeBrusk.
Yeah, there's a lot of uncertainty here, and I really do like Jim Montgomery. I think he's a good coach. But
the defense is a little more short up because you're going to have Grizzly. Eventually you're going to have Lindholm. You're going to yep. You've got most of your guys. The biggest worry is Charlie whenever he comes back.
You don't want to rush him back too much, but he's so valuable to them. This is an interesting offseason for the Boston Bruins. I'm really, really interested to see what they do now that they know that Montgomery's their coach. The biggest thing they need to do, in my opinion, is they need to figure out what the deal is with David Pastrnak long term.
Yep.
You got to find a number 2 center.
Yes.
And who knows? Here's the thing, Jake. It could be incredibly unfortunate if the solution to the Pastrnak problem is he's not going to stay here long term. We need to trade him.
Mm-hmm.
That might be your solution to finding a number 2 center, as well as other pieces that you can have.
It's funny because I saw a tweet that it was attributed to a former Bruin that had Jim Montgomery. So I think we all know who that is.
Yeah.
I think we all know who that is. It's Tyler Seguin, giving a vote of confidence over there, saying that the team's gonna like him. I hope they do.
And I'll ask this later because I don't know. It's funny, but I'll ask this later. Or might ask you this question later on, but I don't want to do it yet. Okay.
Okay. Just if I say anything that triggers that, then cool.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, the Bees getting Montgomery. I like it. I still think it was a little more just kind of like, whoa, he came at it's like a horse race.
Yeah. And like I said, I like this move, but I worry about it. I like this move because I like Jim Montgomery and I think he's a coach. What I worry about is the ungodly high expectations of Boston Bruins fans. He's going into
the fan base is definitely one to
the fan base is going to hold him rightly or wrongly, I believe wrongly, to the
championship caliber.
They're going to hold him to the standards. If he doesn't do things the way Bruce Cassidy does, he's going to get killed by them.